Okay, let's look at another interesting topic under new findings in climate change. As I said, these are very subjective choices. I look at things, I scan the horizon, whatever I find interesting, I just put in as a podcast under new findings. They are not always so new, but they are useful in my mind. Again, just my opinion. This is there is a nice infographic from the IRRI, so Climate Change Agriculture, so CGIAR, which is the consultative group for international agricultural research. I think this is the International Rice Research Institute, I think, and Climate and Clean Air Coalition, CCAC, which puts out very nice graphics as well. So I want to start with a little background. Rice production in 2022 measured in tons. So even countries that are not predominant rice eaters produce a lot of rice. It's a good commercial product. But of course, Asia eats a lot of rice, and Nepal here is not so suitable for rice cultivation, whereas Southeast Asia does lots of nice, beautiful terracing, terraced farming, and so on and so forth. And India, China dominate, of course, with lots of tons of production. All these countries may be just doing production for their own consumption, and there may be others who are exporting a lot. India and China export as well, especially the basmati rice, which is very nice, aromatic rice that's very popular. But now some Texmati rice is grown even in Texas, and so on and so forth. And rice production has, of course, increased over time. If you look at 1961 to the end of 2022, it's gone from about 200 million tons to now over 700 million tons, and newer countries have become more in production as well. So Asia continues to dominate and grow, but you have South Africa, which has grown nicely, and you have Europe growing, some Oceania, Australia, Oceania typically together, and North and South America overall. So what does that mean? Obviously it means we are also increasing emissions of methane from rice production based on how it is done. So this is about a method called alternate wetting and drying. Water is precious and scarce resource input in rice production. Given the growing shortage of water for agricultural irrigation, the International Research Institute, what is one R is missing there, I think it's International Rice Research Institute, together with Philippine Rice Research Institute, PhilRice, developed water saving technologies. One of these technologies is alternate wetting and drying. The flood irrigation is what causes a lot of the methane emissions, of course, from the rice paddies. What is AWD, or alternate wetting and drying? AWD is a management practice in irrigated lowland rice that reduces water use by up to 30% and reduces greenhouse gas emissions by up to 50% without harming crop yields, right? That's always critical. You don't want to have a tunnel vision on mitigation, climate mitigation at the cost of crop yields. The practice of AWD is defined by periodic drying and reflooding of the rice field. A practical way to implement AWD without yield loss is to monitor the depth of ponded water on the field through the use of a field water tube or pani pipe. Pani is water in Indian languages, Hindi and others. So these are the places where you can find more details, as I said. So why is AWD important? There's a nice ant running around. I hope he doesn't bite. Tropical countries, you get a lot of bugs. Why is AWD important? Rice cultivation requires large amounts of water. As you know, the flood irrigation is very common to kill the weeds, and there are other methods where you grow the seedlings separately and then plant them in the field to reduce the use of flood irrigation as well, but here it's AWD. Approximately 2,500 liters of water is used to produce 1 kilogram of rice. Water for agriculture is becoming increasingly scarce worldwide. By 2025, 20 million hectares of irrigated rice fields may suffer from water scarcity. So that's the projection. And obviously, where it's being grown, if we just go back for a minute, lots of extreme events are happening. Pakistan is, getting drier. Parts of India are getting drier, and there are lots of issues elsewhere as well. And a lot of groundwater mining happens to do irrigation, which means water poor countries are wasting water to grow. Well, they are using excess water, let's say, to grow rice that they export elsewhere for money, which is part of the economy, but then you are losing your water as well, right? So all these are important issues to worry about. Globally, 13.5% of anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions come from the agricultural sector, which we already talked about. Overall food production, it'll add up to more than 26%. So if you look at agriculture here and land use overall, deforestation, urbanization, and various other things, and others. So here, this is more split further into agriculture is further split into manure management, rice production. Out of that 13.5% of the total, 11% is from rice production. Biomass burning is adding greenhouse gases. Enteric fermentation from livestock, N2O emissions, which is another powerful greenhouse gas. When we worry about greenhouse gases, just to remind you, we worry about their concentration, their residence time, and their global warming potential, how powerful a global warming agent a particular gas is compared to CO2, which is used as 1 for baseline. So flooded rice systems comprising irrigated, rain-fed, and deep water rice emit significant amounts of methane, a potent greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming. It's 25 times as powerful as CO2 for global warming, and it lasts only about a decade, but that's enough if we keep producing it, right? So how does AWD work actually? So step 1, 2 weeks after transplanting, the field is left to dry out. The irrigation intervals under AWD can vary between 2 to 10 days, and there is 5 centimeters depth. This is the measurement pipe that is monitoring the water level, and you are waiting until water drops to 15 centimeter below the surface. Okay, 15 centimeters below the surface. So that pipe helps you measure that. So in step 2, when water level drops to 15 centimeters, so up to 6 holes in this pipe below the soil surface, irrigation should be applied to reflood the field to a ponded water depth of about 5 centimeters. Hence, the field is alternatively flooded and dried. This is a cheap technology. A perforated field water tube or pani pipe can be used for irrigation scheduling by monitoring the fall in water depth inside the pani pipe. So it involves some manual labor, but farmers are out there anyway. So the spacing here is 2.5 centimeters. You have enough holes to cover 15 centimeters. It's 15 centimeters above ground here, and the diameter is 10 to 15 centimeters. So all specifications are provided. How does AWD reduce greenhouse gas emissions? It allows the field to drain, which permits aeration of the soil and halts the production of methane, thus reducing the total quantity of methane released during the growing season. So if you keep it constantly flooded, then you are going to emit all that methane. So continuous flooding here versus decomposition of organic matter, which is what produces methane. So anaerobic decomposition in the soil generates methane. Anaerobic is, of course, microbes that are working without using oxygen, whereas AWD allows the irrigation, so decomposition of organic material happens as usual But when you drain it out based on the water depth that we're tracking here, then the influx of O2 into the soil suppresses methane production. So you still have some anaerobic decomposition, but you're just going to significantly reduce methane production and hence flux into the atmosphere from the soil. So oxygen in the soil reduces methane production. Seems simple enough, but what are the benefits? Based on several studies, AWD is the most promising practice for reducing water use and decreasing methane emissions. Remembering that this irrigation and irrigation water use is typically 70 to 80% of all freshwater use in almost all agricultural countries, and irrigation tends to be very inefficient when you do it in this way. There's a beautiful bird right there. So you get these beautiful birds, you wake up to nice bird calls. In the evening there are nice bird calls. So when you see these exotic birds, you want to really try to capture them. I took a little video. Let's see how it turns out and what the bird is. I'll try to find out. Maybe I'll show the video next time. Okay. So what are the benefits? Based on several studies, AWD is the most promising practice for reducing water use and decreasing methane emissions. Obviously, it reduces water use. I was saying how much water is used for irrigation and how inefficient it is in terms of evaporative losses, especially when you do flood irrigation. Especially you are doing this in tropical countries, warm temperatures, global warming, thirsty atmosphere, you are losing a lot of water, right? Reduce the water use. By reducing the number of irrigation events required, AWD can reduce water use by up to 30%. Mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. AWD is assumed to reduce methane emissions by an average of 50% compared to continuous flooding. It's assumed because they haven't measured it explicitly yet. You need a control plot, AWD plot, so that you can see in the same exact weather and climate how much difference it makes. Increase in returns. AWD does not reduce yields compared to continuous flooding. Farmers can also save money on irrigation costs. Sometimes they have to buy water tankers, come in and pour the water for them, and this can cost a lot of money, and poor farmers may not even be able to afford it, and so on. So obviously lots of co-benefits. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and we'll go to the next topic, which will be oops, sorry, why it's not playing. Well, folks, this is a bit of waste of time, but nonetheless, the PPT is not playing the video, and I didn't get much help online. It said do this, do that, but let me just play directly here. I think you can see this. So oops, can you see this? Yeah, it's a cute yellow bird with a longish beak, blackish feathers and a tail. I don't know if it's a coppersmith. Coppersmith is usually smaller, but if you can see clearly enough to say what bird it is, you can let me know. But I will try to find out, of course, using help from friends, Google search, and so on. But I thought it's really cute. I hope you do too. So let's stop it there and conclude the podcast.